Well, hello there. It's been a long time since I uploaded a video, and I just wanted to make contact with my subscribers and let them know that I am still living and breathing here in Japan. Number of people have been asking me if I'm okay and if I'm going to still be uploading videos and all of that, and what's going on with the channel. Well, I mean, I'm not going to get into the details of it. The long and the short of it is I got a little overwhelmed with work and with doing the channel, and maybe not getting quite the response that I wanted from the greater watching audience. I have a very great core group of people that are interested in what I'm producing, and that's great, and I appreciate that. And in fact, that's really the people that I wanted to contact in the beginning when I started making these videos all the way back in 2012. And so I think that's what I'm going to do from here on out, is I'm going to focus on continuing to do the kind of content that I want to do on this channel, rather than bending myself towards what I think may or may not be more widely consumed. Well, towards that end, this spring I have been busy out looking for all kinds of orchids as usual, and other rare plants in the wild. I've been in the local woods checking out, of course, the usual things like calanthe orchids and Cymbidium goringi and some of the other orchids that I may or may not have shown you at some point in past videos here and there sprinkled around. I also got to see a very common orchid in a unique habitat, so that's a video I'll definitely be making fairly soon, and hopefully you'll get to see that in the next couple months and enjoy that. I also made a surprise trip to Canada for 5 days, and I got to meet an internet friend there that I'd been friends with for over 10 years, also a great horticulturalist and orchid enthusiast. And he took me to go see Calypso bulbosa in the wild, which was really cool. So anyway, that's going to be another upcoming video fairly soon again. Right now I'm in the middle of what I would call the spring semester grind at university, so I've been a little bit caught up in doing that. And also I'm interested also in writing on my blog a lot more, because I seem to get a lot of well, I won't say a lot more interest there, but it's for the amount of effort that I put in, I'm getting more out of that. So I'll probably be doing a lot of writing on my blog in coming weeks, so please check that out. In any event, I am still here. I'm okay. I'm breathing. As a matter of fact, I'm healthier now than when you saw me last. I've been taking care of myself better, eating more appropriately, and upping my exercise, which is pretty crazy because I've already was doing a lot of exercise. And yeah, anyway, so here I am. Botany Boy's still alive after all this time. So this isn't a complete boring video. I'm going to go ahead and take you around the yard and show you a couple things in bloom. It's kind of late spring here, and we got some things coming on. We've gone through our early spring and all the mid-spring flowers, and we're starting to get into late spring. So let me go ahead and take you around the yard and at least give you a little something interesting to look at. And, anyway, thanks for watching. Okay, so let's go check out some orchids here. Yep, well, here we have several orchids in flower. These are all dendrobiums, which is kind of cool. We can see here Dendrobium Toronto, Dendrobium Jinkensi, and then this little neat hybrid dendrobium, which is a hybrid of Maniliforme and another Chinese species. I'll talk a little bit about that in a second. Well, first up here is Dendrobium Toronto. This is a native of Vietnam, I guess possibly into China as well. I'm not sure about that, but it's fairly limited distribution. Beautiful little species, seems to do pretty well for me, and it's kind of cool because I'm going to go ahead and move the camera down here. Hopefully you can get this in focus. You can see it has these kind of flattened pseudobulbs, which is kind of cool. I mean, that's a kind of a neat feature of this plant. They really are flattened, as you can see. Yeah, it seems to be fairly tolerant of the conditions that I give them, which is saying something because I really don't do well with tropical orchids. The winters here are just too cold for them, and I can't keep them warm enough. Next one up here is Dendrobium jenkensi, which is a well, I guess this is one of those aggregatum-like plants. It's kind of more of a dwarf growing thing. It's quite lovely. Here you can see it. I'll come back a little bit so you can see it. It's a spreader. You know, it likes to move around, and quite easy to grow. A lot of people say that you should keep this dry in the wintertime, but I found that it's better to keep it at least somewhat moist in the winter. It doesn't want to be baked, you know, but it doesn't want to also have a whole lot of moisture either. Anyway, again, it seems to be rather tolerant of cool conditions. When I say cool conditions, I mean below 10 degrees Celsius or below 50 degrees Fahrenheit in the winter months for much of the time, which is really too much for a lot of tropical plants, particularly Phalaenopsis and things like that, and some of the multifloral paphs and things like that. Okay, next one up. Let me go ahead and come in here. Sorry about the focus. This is Sankano, which basically means triple crown in Japanese. This was a very expensive plant some years ago, and now it's becoming a little more reasonably priced. This is a kind of an odd one. It's a hybrid, complex hybrid. So it's Dendrobium issei, which is Maniliforme times another Chinese, or actually another East Asian species, Catanatum, I think it is. That used to be Stricklandii, or one of the Stricklandiana. Anyway, it changed. Little kind of yellow-green thing. It's found throughout the Ryukyu, or what used to be the Ryukyu Islands of southern Japan, over into Taiwan and parts of China and Indochina. And that was cross-backed onto a yellow-flowered form of D. maniliforme, and if you've ever seen my other videos, you'll know what those look like, because I have those in there here and there. Anyway, so there's the dendrobiums. That's kind of cool. And let me see if I can go ahead and I'll focus in on a leaf here. And you can see how it does these cool daddy, hold on, variegated leaves too. Yeah. Yeah, so there's the variegated leaf, so you can see that this thing's kind of an interesting thing. Okay, so moving on from there, we've got a couple other things I want to show you down here. These are a couple cycads and actually a cyclamen, so this is kind of cool. So let's go ahead and check this out. These are a couple coning cycads. This is Zamia floridana, the common kunti, which is found throughout Florida and in parts of southern Georgia. And then this is the Mexican species of Sarracenia hilde, which is a very rare plant in the wild, but fairly well cultivated throughout North America where it can grow, and then to some degree also here as well in Japan. So this is a cone, female cone, I believe. Yeah, it's definitely a female cone of Sarracenia hilde. Sarracenia hilde is it's very localized. Oh god, where the heck is it? It's somewhere up in north central Mexico. I'm forgetting what states it's in, but anyway, it lives up in kind of cloud forest areas. It's been pretty much taken out of those areas at this point in time, and very rare, I imagine, in the wild, perhaps even critically endangered. But it's in now you can find it in collections all around the world, I imagine, particularly America has quite a few. Florida, I'm sure they grow them in California too. Texas, it needs warm conditions. You're looking at like no colder than, say, maybe get away with USDA zone 8, so they can take down to maybe I wouldn't push them much past 20 degrees Fahrenheit, right? So maybe about -6 or so, -7. Celsius. I have this coning plant here, which the plant itself looks like crap, but I have I'm gonna switch over here and come out so you can see them. Here is a group of younger ones. These stems, these guys here. Sometimes it's called the bamboo cycad because it kind of looks like bamboo, I guess you could say. Yeah, anyway, so that's kind of cool. I got that coning. Unfortunately, I don't have a male cone to spray any pollen on there. They are separate sexes. Now here's the cone on the Floridana, and this is a male. That's a male cone, so that's a spore producing cone. And again, I could cross the two, I suppose, but yeah, what's the point? You know, I'm not much into hybrids. I like species. So anyway, so it's kind of two interesting plants there. And real quick, I'll go ahead and run down over here, and you can see, I don't know if any of you have actually seen this before or thought about looking at it, but these are seed pods of hopefully I think I broke that one. That's okay, it doesn't matter. They're a little bit stiff here, so you really shouldn't move them too much. Of cyclamen. I've forgotten which cyclamen species this is that I have here. This might be one of the common ones, I don't remember. Anyway, I have a number of cyclamen I've grown from seed years ago, and it's kind of cool. So after they flower, they kind of just, you know, they grow, they flower, and then they curl up, and they form this like a little curly Q, and then the seeds form in there, and they're very easy to grow from seed, actually. Let's go check around back, see what I got back in the backyard. Okay, so here we are walking through the yard. I was pruning my Sazanka camellia here because the darn thing just grows like crazy, and being in an urban setting like this, you got to keep trees small. You can see I've got some tree ferns out, yeah, different hydrangeas in bloom and other things, cycads, hostas, and so on, and of course this big wall of Spanish moss, tillandsia. And now we're going to try to come through here. Oh man, what a tight little yard this is. And there's a couple things going on here. First of all, we have the Kurenai ajisai, which is hydrangea serrata, variety Kurenai. That's native to Nagano Prefecture. And then here I've got this ridiculously robust multifloral rose that's well, wanting to take over the universe. This is American Pillar. I cut this guy way back the other day and the other year, last year, and I trained him to the wall here. And the aphids absolutely adore this plant, which doesn't really matter because they can't kill it. And then down here is a little bog garden that's doing okay. So anyway, here's this really cool form, this true red form of the smaller flowered and smaller leaved hydrangea, Japanese hydrangea, Hydrangea serrata, named after the serrated leaf. These things start out kind of a white color, and then they become this intense, crazy red color. And what an amazing flower this thing is. It truly is that red, and eventually it turns into kind of a wine red just before the flowers die. And finally, just a little look at a Sarracenia, a pitcher plant that's still in flower. This is the hybrid Judith Hindle. This is the cross between the natural hybrid, which is, hold on, that's, let me get this right. Yeah, it's Catesby, which is Flavum cross Purpurea, and then that hybrid, that naturally occurring hybrid, crossed back under Leucophylla, leucophylla, sorry, producing this pretty common hybrid. Here it is growing in a larger bog garden. Yeah, my bog garden is, it's doing okay. I just transferred it over here. You can see those tall ones are leucophyllas, actually. I've got all the wiring there, the little fish line, to keep the plants from falling over. They tend to fall over. I don't think I quite have enough sun for them, and I'm hoping they grow better roots this year. This has been a problem. And actually, one thing it is kind of neat here. I'll go ahead and turn it up here. You won't maybe appreciate this so much, but because it's not really looking that great yet. But this is the red form of the of Flavum, right? So this has a brilliant red, completely red, under the right growing conditions. So hopefully I can get that to become more red. Honestly, I haven't done well with these guys, and hopefully they'll do better for me in this year. I think I got them set up better now. They're in more sun, and they should do better this year. Okay, so that's it for now. I hope you enjoyed this video, at least some of the plants. You got to see a few of the things in the garden, and I think some of those are, if not unique to what I've shown you in the past, they're at least a more in-depth view of them. Sorry about the absence from the channel. I'll make amends to you this year, I promise. Try to get a video out every month or something like that, maybe every couple weeks. Probably in the summertime I'll have a little more time and I'll get to do that. One last plant, just for one more for the road, is this lovely Cyathea. This is tree fern that's was mistakenly identified as Cyathea tomentosissima, which is a irresistible name. A highland species of Papua New Guinea, up very high, up around 10,000 feet, so that'd be 9,000 plus meters. And in fact, what it's kind of been more or less identified at is actually the lowland species Cyathea cooperi, which is a native of eastern Australia, and this just happens to be an unusual leaf form. Very tomentose, hence the name tomentosissima. Anyway, I managed to keep this guy outside all winter, which is kind of cool. I'll talk a little bit about that in a coming video. They will not normally grow here without some help in the winter, and surprisingly, it made it through with flying colors, so I'm kind of thrilled about that. Anyway, onward. Thanks for watching the video, and I hope you at least enjoyed some of this, some of the plants, and now you'll know what's happening with me.